Hi, everyone. I'm just popping on today, kind of unplanned and off the cuff a little bit. I was just drafting my latest newsletter talking about VO2 max and how to improve it specifically in terms of kind of your exercise regimen and what types of exercise improve your VO2 max. So, side note, check my profile here on YouTube. You can find the link there for my newsletter and subscribe and view it there. But it inspired me to pop on here and kind of share my exercise routine and how I'm using it to hopefully keep improving my VO2 max, if not at least just maintaining it at a minimum as I age. So, yeah, just wanted to pop on briefly and chat about that. So, my current routine, and my caveat here is that exercise routines change, right? Like life stressors, routines, all of that changes. So I think it's important to be flexible with yourself and make sure you give yourself some grace during different seasons in life. What I'm doing now was not what I was doing when I had babies at home, when I had a 1 year old, when I had babies that weren't sleeping through the night, when I was nursing. I mean, lots of factors at play. And I will say truthfully that only in the past probably year or two that, both kids sleeping consistently through the night, that I've been able to incorporate kind of some more morning workouts again and kind of take things up in intensity. So if you have babies, if you're in kind of a stressful season, don't put too much pressure on yourself, right? I think there's ways you can find little pockets of time and little ways to add some of this training into your routine, but without cramming it all in or at the expense of sleep, because we know sleep is super important for health, longevity, and wellness. So without further ado, so my current routine, and just running through things briefly, I have kind of a mix of stuff. Now and more, this has again been in about the past year, I aim to strength train 3 days a week. And this is usually at a local gym. There's a class there I love. There's an upper body day, a lower body day, and then like a full body or HIIT type interval class. So 2 of those days are more of like intense strength training, so heavy weights, right? I'm really working on lifting heavy weights, so a heavy arm day, a heavy leg day. There are some cardio intervals mixed in, but not much. So the focus is mainly on strength. The third day is sometimes more of like a HIIT style class with different stations, and sometimes there's like box jumps and burpees and mixed in with weights too. That's usually the third day. So I try to make sure I'm like touching a weight at least 3 days a week. And then 2 days a week is usually some sort of run, kind of falls into the zone 2 cardio bucket. At this point, I don't love a lot of interval runs necessarily. I like to kind of go outside, go on a run with a friend, kind of keep that steady state cardio. And that's, 3 to 4 miles twice a week. Sometimes more, sometimes less, kind of depends on the day. And then an optional 6th day for me kind of depends on my energy levels, what's going on, if I fit in a 6th day in the week. Sometimes it's just a 30-minute Peloton in the basement, and that's often probably a zone 2 cardio, just to kind of spin my legs out and work up a sweat a little bit. I have started to work on, and if I feel I haven't gotten enough interval training earlier in the week, because I think sometimes that could happen with the schedule I talked about, it's more like strength and steady state cardio, less like that VO2 max interval training. I've been looking up on Peloton for some more specific interval classes, and you'll see in my newsletter this week I talk about interval training and using kind of a method of like 4 minutes on, 3 minutes off, so kind of a longer interval and a longer rest recovery. And so I found a couple classes on Peloton, like older ones that I've bookmarked, and I go and do those if I want more interval training. And it's like a 20 minutes of work, and you're like, oh, this isn't going to be hard. No, it's quite hard. So sometimes I'll mix in some of that as a focused way to get more of that like interval piece. So that's my schedule. So it's always changing a little bit. I think as I lean into more strength training, sometimes I have to do a little less cardio, which I think is ultimately good for my body. I'm admittedly a cardio junkie, have been my whole life, and my default has always been to like go on a run or get some sweaty Peloton workout in. But I'm really trying to shift as I age in my 40s, working on building muscle and building strength. Shoot me a note with any questions, comment on this video, subscribe to my newsletter for more information. And that's all. I'll see you next time. Bye.